in the league.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful statistic right there. But Arcade going to get his comfort pick of that Koshka. We saw him using that earlier on today. Cloud9 still got 20 seconds to make this decision.
They can do Samuel Arden. It would be good, because as long as they survive the early game against Koshka, they would be pretty fine.
I think my other favorite thing about that stat is a 4.3 KDA ratio on Flicker. But it's, because obviously it's only been the one game thus far, but it is going to be the Batiste pickup here. And now for their final pick, do they want to run that Batiste as a captain, or will it be for I Love Joseph in the jungle?
Oh, Lance. So Koshka is completely countered at this point. And also Batiste counters Idris and Koshka to an extent because of their mobility. And Idris can't Shroud Step out of the Ordain, because the Ordain isn't like a gauntlet. It's basically if you leave the space, you get stunned, regardless of what ability you use. And that's why people still get stunned leaving it, etc. So really good draft by Cloud9. Hammers now need to probably draft something really aggressive like Fortress to counter the Batiste Lance, because Fortress is good into Batiste with Koshka, but only Fortress though, because everything else Batiste beats Koshka in.
Yeah, the only thing that can get you out of ordained as an Idris, aside from a reflex block, is okay. Well, we'll ignore that point, but that's going to be, yeah, Captain Koshka from Hammers. Cloud9 has run it. Team Solomid has run it. And I mean, now
with this
third place, so I guess every team, just as we go down the scoreboard, is going to start picking up this.
Cloud9 up against Hammers. And Denominate, I'm looking at this draft at Hammers, and it feels pretty funky to me, but what do you think about it?
It definitely feels a little interesting. Interesting not really being maybe the best thing right now. It's very, very late game dominant, so the Captain Koshka won't really come online until level 6. If he can get a Yummy Catnip Frenzy down onto a reflex blockless target, it's going to be good. But then as the Echo comes out later in the game and as he tanks up, he'll definitely be a bigger threat. And obviously the Celeste and Idris as the game goes on will be a threat all of their own.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs there, but if it all comes together, maybe it'll have an impact. Playboy Afro moving forward finds Gabe Vizzle hanging out, trying to hold down the brush there. Playboy Afro just uses Chorley Death and kind of pokes. Gabe Vizzle really not going to feel threatened though. This is more where maybe you find the squishy target in the jungle, but right now there's not much that he can do for his laner up there.
Definitely not, and he doesn't have, Playboy Afro doesn't have a Iron Guard contract to help starting all over sustains here, so as Gabe Vizzle gets level 2 and gets that Impale, we're definitely going to start to see some big damage come out of Old School and Gabe Vizzle up here in the lane, but this does give Afro and Archaic an opportunity. They might be able to rotate, but it looks like Archaic is going to back off, not wanting to try to push Batiste in.
Yeah, Playboy Afro hanging out. Like you said, dude, not having the contract's a big deal. It's like, what does he actually add up here besides just like a visual distraction? Like he runs in and out. Old School's like, okay, I'll attack you once, but I'm really not scared of you. Starting all over is not feeling much of a help. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, again, he's not going to come on really until he gets that Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and as a Captain Koshka, that's going to be later than normal.
It feels like maybe he'd like to spend a little more time in the jungle if that was the case. But then at the same time, Archaic leveling a little bit slower would be a problem for them as well. So we'll see how it all plays out. Archaic level 3 hanging out next to the Elder Treant. Well, Joseph has made his own clear and starts to move down. Archaic probably pokes and moves back. He's going to core collapse. Playboy Afro is there. And this is not a poke and a move back. He is committed. Joseph, he's going to throw the Bad Mojos. He's empowered up, taking a bunch of damage. Gabe Vizzle, a double impale. The Gethian Wall buying time. Bad Mojo. Joseph healing up, sustaining. Playboy Afro, can he take him down? Yes, he can. First blood to the kitty cat. Meow right there. Old School forced back into lane from starting all over. Wouldn't let him drop down. Archaic, is he going to go down to Gabe? No, look at the calculations by these hammers. Oh my goodness. Can we just have a moment to appreciate how beautiful that was?
That was absolutely amazing. One more second, Gabe Vizzle would have had the Impale up. Might have been able to find an Impale to kill either Archaic or Afro.
Starting's gonna go on Old School. Chakram connects, he moves forward. That was a little less hype than I thought it was. I thought Starting had a kill there.
Yeah, it's a little risky. Vox does have a bit of armor. The Chakram was down, so he does have to play it a little bit safe. Archaic and Afro did take the opportunity to recall to get their health up so that they can make sure they win another team fight out should one come up. And the Starting just going to try to heal himself off this lane here. He obviously has the Book of Eulogies. Being a melee hero, he gets the additional health. And Old School looking to go that very popular Vox build that we have right now, the Poison Shiv first item, giving him that sustain.
Oh, he's not going to Breaking Point double monocle? Starting, root it up. Old School is getting some attacks, but Archaic and Playboy Afro are there. Gabe Vizzle realizes what's going on and just kind of moves back into a defensive position there. But it gives an opportunity for starting to go ahead and port home. And it looks like he probably just gets into Sorrow Blade right off the bat. That's pretty common. Looks like we may have lost Denominator for a moment, but yeah, what I was alluding to, I think we're going to see Sorrow Blade come out. It's a nice item for him as his first item. It's pretty core, pretty common. Down in the jungle, though, Archaic playing games. There's 3 of C9. They're going to ordain him and move forward. Archaic, he's going to get stunned into the wall, impaled up. They have the damage. They take him down. And I think Joseph cleaned that one up with a bad mojo there. And now starting moving down from the lane, throws the chakram, hits that Old School on the way out, but not on the way back. Shroud Step, trying to reposition moving. Who's going to get the treant? Playboy Afro, no. Starting got it. Ooh, 2-man get the wall, and just a little poke from range, and welcome back, Denominator.
Yeah, sorry about that. Not sure happened. I got moved up in a channel here somehow. The good fight coming here out of Cloud9. Really Old School finding a lot of damage and sustain with that poison shiv we talked about, as well as those bad mojos coming out of Joseph are doing a lot of damage already, almost at that Shatterglass point of the game. And now Hammers are rotating up here, trying to find something, Humanist.
Yeah, they're looking for something, but not going to find anything. Archaic throwing out some charms, being a cheeky little Celeste here. You know, there are ways I see that Hammers could win this game, but it just doesn't feel like it. It really just doesn't feel like it to me. Because it would come down to C9 like making some mistakes, of which C9's just not really known for doing that.
Yeah, C9 is definitely one of the more consistent teams in North America, and they really show it week after week. Again, they've really only lost out to Team Solo Mid, so they definitely have some confidence coming up here into this game. Old School being on one of his favorite heroes for patch after patch, and here are Hammers.
Playboy Afro, level 5. We're getting closer and closer to that level 6. Nice core collapse landing from Archaic. Solar Storm comes through, taking C9 pretty low, but a Fearsome Shade is going to cancel this fight off. Playboy Afro moving back in and starting all over. Another Shroud Step forward. They can't get the damage out on target that they want. But, I mean, they have gap closing ability. They are very fast, and, I mean, maybe later on as Archaic starts to get a little more powered up with some of that crystal power and that Solar Storm connects a little bit harder, maybe they have a chance there. Right now, C9 trying to defend the turret here. Bad Mojo's connecting into the choke point. Joseph needs to kite back. Joseph taking good damage. They're going to put him down. Now they move forward. They should be able to find Archaic. Yes, they get him. Gabe Vizzle with that kill. Now Old School. Can they find this? Yes. Playboy Afro should be going down. Gabe Vizzle impale over the wall. He might have actually fallen to Playboy Afro there. And nice over the wall escape from Gabe Vizzle.
It looked like Afro might have actually clipped that last basic attack that really should have been able to kill Gabe Vizzle. Koshka does have a very high basic attack damage, as well as the empowerment from the twirly death would have very likely killed Gabe Vizzle. It is another kill going on over to Cloud9 though, and Gabe Vizzle makes that daring escape over the wall.
Starting all over. I don't know if you had mentioned this before, but he does have his Divergent Pass unlocked now. Building into Poison Shiv, a second item. He's well on his way to being a respectable damage threat here in this game. 79 last hits, 7 minutes into this game. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, and that's something that we've really always known for starting. He's very proficient on getting those last hits. He's really good at making sure he has the gold to complete his builds. But Cloud9 is really taking a lot of advantage here in the early game. We talked that, you know, the Hammers composition is really more late game designated than anything else. So it's going to be about if Hammers can get Celeste to that point that she can really be the big threat that she needs to be. Otherwise, this Baptiste, Lance, and Vox are really just going to be able to jump into that backline and really abuse the fact that Celeste is not whatsoever a tanky hero.
Old School almost face checking the brush, moving up into the lane, but he stops to take the mid there. Starting was ready, I think, just to attack him, throw that chakram, and go from there, but he's not going to get that opportunity. Starting pushes the wave up, and it's going to give them a moment, so it looks like he's probably going to take this opportunity to go down towards the jungle shop, purchase some items here for himself. What's he going to do? Just going to grab himself an infusion, a little weapon blade, And so this is one of those things. He's ready to fight. He's got a couple items. He just gets the infusion to kind of round out the damage, pick himself up a little armor as well. That's great if he pops that at any point if they get into a little fight here.
Yeah, and Hammer's looking to maybe get a little bit of damage down. C9 does fall back behind their turret. What Starting particularly needs to do here on this Idris, he needs to make sure he engages with Shroud Step so that he gets that barrier. And here we go, Humanist.
Yeah, he's taking a bunch of damage, old school. He's gonna actually get Shimmer struck, but then turns around with the wait for it, and he'll be able to take Starting down. This is Playboy Afro who's gonna move backwards, Archaic as well. Playboy Afro has his ultimate, but wasn't gonna be used through that fight. Honestly, if Joseph and Gabe see this Koshka, it's really hard for Koshka to do really anything.
Yeah, there's so much crowd control available on the side of Cloud9 here. Actually, it looks like they might be looking to have the damage here to come and get this turret taken down. If not,
he's stunned up and paled Ordain, and this should be a dead cat. Oh, no, they're actually... Playboy Afro's going to die, but they use that... No, he's not going to die. They use it to kill Archaic. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Starting all over, he's battling in the jungle. He's going to take Old School down. Now, he's ordained up, but he doesn't care. He's like, okay, stun me, whatever. Impale me, I don't care. The chase is on. Bad Mojo is going to connect, and that'll be the straw that broke Starting all over his back. Maybe it's not. He's still going to go for it. He's Githian Wall, he's stunned up, ordained as well. He's going to block it and Shroud Step out of there. So the play, he has to use the block to get out of there, but no big deal.
Yeah, it was a good route actually coming out of Gabe Bizzle that kept Starting from making it onto Joseph. If he would have made it onto Joseph there after that first Ordain dropped, that very likely could have been another kill going on over to Hammers. And here we go, Humanist.
The YCP blocked off there by Gabe Bizzle himself.
YCP,
yeah, that was
like
definitely
that.
A kill if that connected.
That's a pretty good one there, Humanist. So now Hammers is all up here in the lane, looking to push in this turret. Celeste and Idris should have the damage to do so.
Oh, yeah.
And that is unfortunate that Joseph wasn't here, and now Hammers are going in.
They got the damage in spades. They'll also take Old School down with him. Now, the Ordained onto Archaic. They're going to block off the Impale. The Fearsome Shade catches. They're going to stun Archaic up against the wall. Joseph trying to find the damage. They're moving forward. Archaic just kind of buying a little bit of time. He does find a two-man core collapse, but it'll go down in the end. Starting really couldn't hang around and fight there. He's too low HP with that area of effect damage coming out. And Playboy Afro, hey, it's not a defensive captain, to say the least.
No, it's definitely about landing that crowd control, and Starting is going to make it back here in time to save the lane. But man, Gabe Bizzle, great use of the Githian Wall this game thus far, making sure he's getting multiple stuns down with each one.
Oh, nice Shroud Step. It's still going to stun him up with that Ordained and Impale. The Githian Wall's coming through. So much lockdown. So much lockdown. It's kind of devastating Hammers at this point.
Yeah, and they're keeping the aggression up, not giving Starting the opportunity to recall here. This is incredibly smart out of Cloud9. The Fountain is available, however, for Playboy Afro and is not ready for Gabe Bizzle, so this fight should be pretty interesting if anybody goes for it.
Honestly, I didn't notice how well Old School was doing. He has Breaking Point completed with his own level 8 infusion active, his boots ready to activate. If they lock anybody down and Old School can get on target, he should be able to build up some Breaking Point stacks and put someone down pretty hard here. Yummy Catnip Frenzy blocked off. Bad Mojo is going to land. Wait for it. Comes through. Lands onto 3. Ordained is down. Starting, you're in a bad place. He tries to Shimmer Strike, but he's down. Solar Storm comes through from Archaic. Doesn't quite do the work that he would have liked, and that's Old School finding a double kill. Like we just said, Breaking Point stacking up for them there as they find that engage they were looking for.
Yeah, especially since there's not really any defense yet on Hammers. That's really how you have to go about countering this Breaking Point, and it's just not there. He's able to build up the stacks so easily, and this is the consistency that we were talking about in this Cloud9 team. That is now going to be the first turret going on over to Cloud9. A small gold lead in their advantage, but they've been doing a great job blocking out that Yummy Catnip Frenzy coming out of Playboy Afro, really making sure that Koshka doesn't have very much effect in these fights.
Yeah, they've been blocking it out, and you wonder, I mean, it sounded like our analysts were talking about it, that having the Echo was going to be a big deal for this Koshka, but we don't see it coming out anytime soon here.
No, he's not even close to building into it. He does have some vision in his pocket, as well as the Atlas Pauldron completed, so there is an opportunity where he could force out the block on the Yummy Catnip Frenzy and still get the Atlas down. But here we go, Humanist.
Yeah, starting finds Joseph, just jumps in, starts to burst him down. Respectable damage coming out of the Idris, but it seems like starting's having a hard time closing out. No, he jumps right into Joseph. He's found him this time. Ordained is there, but it doesn't matter. Archaic battling with Old School on the backside. Solar comes through. Old School staying alive, battling through this. Starting all over, though, finding the damage he needs, and a triple kill. He's going to take the Crystal Sentry as well. Starting all over. What a wonderful fight.
I'm kind of shocked that they're not going for the gold mine here. They do have an ace wave. They may be just looking to get the turret. The cooldowns are running pretty low here though, so they have to worry about. Oh, War Treads is actually not available on Gabe Bizzle, so they don't have to worry about Gabe Bizzle coming up and chasing them down. They do pick up a clean kill there on the turret. Good choice by them. The gold miner is full and ripe for the taking if they find another fight. Maybe, you know, good choice for them. They're capitalizing on that ace from the fight they had starting. Beautiful job getting onto that back line and getting Joseph down early on in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that play only happens if starting all over is playing super aggressive and, like, actively trying to make that happen. I think it's really, really beautiful to watch. I think the lesson also learned from C9 is, like, you just got to keep starting off of Joseph. That's not something that can really happen. He can't just apply damage for free. They're trading up in the lane. Old School trying to trade here with starting. He's going to Shimmer Strike in. And they're block off the Fearsome Shade, but all the damage coming out. Archaic throws the Solar Storm as he tries to kite backwards. They've lost starting. They're going to lose Archaic. And Playboy Afro somewhere over in the jungle should go down as well. In a matter of time here, C9's just going to round him up like some sheepdogs, rounding up some cattle there, and take him down.
Yeah, again, this is the consistency of Cloud9, though. This is a team that has literally looked good all season long. They are that #2 spot, which they're really showing it right now. And the win condition here is that starting all over safely makes it past Gabe Bizzle. If Gabe Bizzle is allowed to use the crowd control, it functions very similarly to that Catherine that we know to be just so good into Idris. And now this is Cloud9 taking down this Kraken. No Solar Storm available for the steal. Starting all over coming down, but can he find it?
Oh, that was
so close.
Quite close. Honestly, that was pretty close. Okay, Kraken captured for C9. C9 in the lead as far as kills, but slightly behind in net worth. About 16 minutes into this game here. How do we expect this to play out?
I mean, so far, just looking at the builds, I say this game has to go to Cloud9. Again, the Yummy Catnip Frenzy really either needed an Echo or a Null Wave to be efficient, and we don't have that. It's been blocked every single time, but starting all over is going in.
Yeah, one more time. They just ordain him, slap him with the Githian wall, and stun him up. He's disabled forever. He took a bunch of damage, but he's hanging around here. Just attacks and Chakrams coming out. Yummy Catnip Frenzy is going to connect onto Joseph. Joseph being held in place. Solar Storm comes through. They've melted him down. Denominate. Hammers are on the chase here. Old School's going to kite back with the Sonic Zoom. They stun up starting and just take him down as Gabe that takes him down with a basic attack there at the end. Playboy Afro will be able to make it out of here. And Old School, Gabe Bizzle, they're not super healthy, but they're not going to feel threatened here. So they can hang around and take this turret down easy.
Yeah, it's going to be another free turret. They're likely going to back off, though. They're very low on health, and the turret's going to accelerate the death timers a little bit for Hammers. And obviously this Kraken being so injured, that's not worth them sticking around, risking an ace at this point. Old School is practically full build by the time he makes it down to the shop. He'll very likely pick up either Journey Boots or Halcyon Chargers, as well as finish up a fusion here for him, making sure he's ready for the next fight. We really have to see an Atlas Pauldron come out of starting here. He has really a great opportunity to get onto Old School, get that Atlas down, and that's what's going to help them make it through the fight. And we just haven't seen a good Atlas come down onto Old School yet.
No, we haven't. I mean, Playboy Afro has the delivery system, War Treads. He's going to move in here. Pouncy Fun, the Fearsome Shade comes out the other way. I don't think it's a big deal. They block off the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and now Playboy Afro, he's in a weird place. He does apply the Atlas Pauldron. They try to get out. The Impale comes through from Gabe Bizzle. They leave Koshka for dead as they move backwards. Hammers. That was a bit of a misplay.
Bit of a misplay indeed. The Crucible was burned to block the Fearsome Shade, and then Afro went in looking for a stun, wasn't able to find it. The Ordain came down, and that was a terrible position for the Koshka to be in. Overall, not really one of the tankiest of heroes that we can put into this captain position, first of all. But again, the crowd control and the comboing of the crowd control coming out of Cloud9 has just been so beautiful. This is, by all means, Cloud9's game to win.
I'm going to agree with you on that point. Cloud9, they realize Crystal Century is moving back out, and they're kind of poking at it, but with starting an Archaic hanging around, they're going to think twice about that. The mids quickly taken down by Hammers. Will go their way over towards Archaic. Archaic kind of stalled out in his item progression, I think, being forced to infuse constantly. He's still sitting on tier 1 boots and just the Frostburn and Broken Myth, which, I mean, those 2 items were completed a while ago.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of gold that they need to find if they want Archaic to finish off another item. He is going to recall now and pick up that Eve, but he's not infused, and starting all over's infusion is burning out right now. And we still have some pretty healthy infusions for the side of Cloud9, and they actually are looking to pick up this Kraken Humanist.
This should be theirs, barring Archaic moving over, doing something pretty incredible. And so they're going to throw maybe a Solar Storm. They're moving in. I mean, this is going down pretty quick. They're here. I misread the timing on this. Wait for it. It's going to come through. Actually, it's going to go over with a bad mojo. Joseph claiming that. Starting all over. He's on to Joseph. That's his target. The Fearsome Shade Catch is starting. They're going to be able to melt him down, can they? The Fountain keeps him alive. Playboy Afro doing a good job to at least apply the Atlas Pauldron. But they have lost Playboy Afro. Now Starting's on the run. Archaic as well. I mean, he can't even stand his ground and try to fight. He's stunned up against the wall. That does not feel right, man.
It doesn't, and losing 2 kills after obviously the Kraken going over to Cloud9 is not looking very good for Hammers at all. This is a full health Kraken now marching down the lane to the last 2 turrets, keeping Hammers in this game. So starting all over definitely has to be careful here. If he gives up an ace, then this is 100% a game going over to Cloud9.
Shouldn't this be? I mean, C9, I'm gonna give him 100%.
It should be. It should be. Archaic is coming up. Afro is now up. They have an opportunity here to get down some damage, but man.
If there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way to throw it. Let's see if they can do it. Starting all over. He's caught in the Fearsome Shade. Oh no! Line up against the wall. The police are here. C9. They're gonna lock Hammers up and take game 1 here. An impressive showing, 22-9. While net worth was very close, and even C9 being behind it, majority of this game, Hammers had a small net worth advantage. But they can't close out, and C9 sure can, though. Impressive stuff, man.
Yeah, and just now, 20 minutes in, too late, the Echo does come out on Koshka. We unfortunately didn't really see any good stuns come out of this Captain Koshka, something that's definitely difficult to play.
All right, well, let's see what's going to happen.
Camo immediately due to the weapon perk of the active camo. A CP character, on the other hand, can't active camo if they've taken recent damage. So Grace could be okay, or weapon power caster could be okay into Grace. They're going to pick Koshka here and are going to secure the Glaive or Ringo, and they're going to go with the Ringo here, and I think Cloud9 will probably go with Sky or Samuel, or maybe even Cruel or Rhyme. Yeah, Cruel comes out. Wow.
All right, well, Cruel's been banned against them basically every other game they've played today. They are going to be able to lock it in this time for Joseph, which means it will be the weapon power Kestrel going on towards the lane. How are we feeling about these compositions? Obviously, we've got starting on...
Here we go. Hammers up against Cloud9. In game 2, this should be a pretty fun one. I'm really excited to see Old School on this Kestrel. I think he's going to have a pretty good knack for this hero.
He definitely should. Old School is a very mechanically gifted player, but what is Starting doing here, Humanist?
Dude, he's a Ringo. He's incredibly durable. He's just tanking up all of the damage. No big deal.
He's fast. I don't know about durable, but he is fast. He does make it out safe, and we actually have a pretty aggressive invade from Playboy Afro here.
The battle of the captains deep in the jungle here to nominate. Playboy Afro playing games. Gabe Vizzle sniffed it out early on, and Playboy Afro is getting the better of Gabe, but Gabe can just kind of heal up. If he does get in trouble, he can boot himself out of there. Joseph's going to be able to collapse now. The sigil comes out. They're on top of Playboy Afro. Playboy Afro just hits the benediction onto Gabe Vizzle and moves himself out of there. Playboy Afro still holding his own boots, though. And with this, I think it should allow Archaic to get in. Yeah, Archaic's making the rotation over now. Hammers have 2 deep in the jungle of C9. Joseph's going to be forced out. Joseph taking a bunch of damage. And they're just going to have to watch as their backs are going to be taken away. No mercy from Hammers.
Smart rotation out of Hammers here. Gabe Vizzle being so low, having no additional bonus health to really cause those Imperial Sigils to heal any additional health. So they really capitalized on the fact that Koshka can snowball the Kroll here in the early game. There's no chain stun ability, but here we go, Humanist.
My goodness. If the rest of Cloud9 did not just show up in the lane, I'm pretty sure they would just dive old school and find the kill there. But yeah, nice aggression from Hammers as they move up in the lane. C9 will dissuade that aggression, and we'll see what their move is going to be.
Yeah, C9 realistically has a huge opportunity here. The Kroll obviously able to really lock down a target, both with a bit of crowd control in the slows as well as the stun, but also obviously reducing the incoming damage from that hero. And if Koshka dives a little too far, those glimmer shots will be able to blow her up. So Hammers has to play this really specific. They have to make sure that they are able to either delete Joseph or Old School early on in a fight, because in an extended exchange, this is almost always going to go over to Cloud9.
Well, Archaic's going to take the mids away from C9 one more time. Joseph definitely struggling here early on in the first few minutes. Denominate, can you talk to us about, I mean, how does the Ringo stack up against the Kestrel in the lane, just one-on-one that matchup?
One-on-one, Ringo should be able to do all right into Kestrel, especially if he fights around the cooldown of the Glimmer shots. The real big threat to Ringo is if Kroll gets onto him, it's almost certainly going to be a death. Ringo fallen off of the meta pretty substantially just because a lot of the meta laners right now have some way to get out of that hard engage, whether it be a Glaive Afterburn, even the Jewel, the Rocket Leap, or even Vox's Sonic Zoom, and Ringo just doesn't have that. So this game is going to be about Afro getting good Holy Novas down onto Joseph to save Starting's life.
Yeah, I can see where the Holy Nova could be very disruptive to a Kroll trying to engage in there, especially if Playboy Afro does have a good positioning in through these fights. Joseph, this is the first time he's had a nice, easy rotation through the jungle. He's going to be happy about that. We're about 10 seconds away from this jungle getting intense here. Starting already making the rotation down. He probably just wants to hit the shop immediately.
Yeah, he's definitely looking to come down for something here. It's going to be dangerous if he rotates back up the Cloud9 side, especially with that vision sitting there from Gabe Vizzle.
Why is he doing this? What's the play?
I think he was waiting on his team to rotate up to try to find Old School, and they do find a bit of damage, but a good active camo.
The stun, Archaic, he jumps right over the top. He takes Old School down. I see what's happening now. Joseph, he wants to take Starting, but Joseph's going to go down as well. They've overstayed their welcome. Archaic takes 2. Cloud9 get none, and now it's going to be Starting all over Archaic and Playboy Afro taking this turret down, potentially at least putting very good damage out onto it.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of damage down quick, and it does look like they're going to take a 4.5-minute turret with this Ringo and Koshka composition, really taking advantage of the early game that this composition has. If they can close it out early enough, Kroll won't really have a lot of time to come on here.
Okay, obviously Starting all over a top Ringo player, very good Ringo player, but he's also, one of his other top picks is the weapon Kestrel. And when you play a hero a lot, you know how to abuse its weaknesses. And I think that he was making the call there, like, let's just kill this Kestrel. As soon as we get on her, she's going to die. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, and again, just the huge amount of damage that can come out of Ringo Koshka in the early game, especially since Starting has this Sorrow Blade complete and is having an absolutely amazing rotation down here to get that ambient gold. They really want to make sure that Starting can get to a full build as quick as possible, because if he's allowed to, then he's going to have the damage that he can really just, get a couple attacks down and delete somebody from this game. And they have to be careful here if Joseph does decide to rotate up. Next time he gets the chance to shop, he will pick up that tension bow.
So he's going to grab the tension bow for himself, but he's level 5. I'm wondering, like, what's the point where C9 can think about fighting?
The real condition here is Kroll gets a good stun. He's not level 6, though.
Holy Nova, canceling it off. Joseph, he's going to get boosted up by the Sigil, trying to move forward. This Gabe holding the fountain, Starting all over, is hanging around. He's pretty low, but Archaic jumps right back in. Another Holy Nova! Holy Playboy! Holy Yummy Catnip Frenzy from downtown! Old School's going to get burned down there. Archaic goes in for another one, gets the ace. He'll pay for it with his life, but Hammers... They're just styling on Cloud9.
This is looking really good for Hammers right now. They may even be able to pick up this turret here. A couple more attacks.
Wow.
Third turret down, 6.5 minutes in. The damage coming out of this Ringo and Koshka is absolutely huge. And look at the armor actually picked up by Archaic already here.
Archaic grabbing some armor. This is great for him. He's itemizing against C9 very efficiently. Of course, it's also in part due to their builds, their choices on how they're going to build this game. That makes it a little easy for him. This is crazy. Playboy Afro is still level 5. They're not even playing with Divine Intervention yet, and just kind of rolling down. I mean, even when we were it was like the push saw meta. It was rare that turrets were going down that fast. I mean, that was like a good push comp if that was happening. Hold on, that's gonna be holy deletion right there. Joseph wishes he could control alt that, or undo that one. Control Z. Gabe Vizzle getting blown up as well. I don't even know what to say here.
This is just absolutely disgusting damage coming out of Hammers here. This is a 4th turret down in 7.5 minutes, Humanist.
Yeah, they're gonna jump for it. Joseph almost going down. Playboy Afro. He's going to move out here with his team, starting all over, taking a bit of damage, but they have the Divine Intervention. They're going to catch him, but he blocks off with the one shot. Playboy Afro doing a phenomenal job for his team here, starting all over, trying to stutter step backwards. Archaic, he was rooted up there. He was trying to take the tree, and Archaic, man, if he maybe had just been a little sooner, he could have done something for his team, but he has the move speed. He's trying to get out. If Hammers all get out here, this is insane, man. How is this happening? I don't believe my eyes here, Denomini.
This has been an absolutely intense game every second. Cloud9 looking to pick up this gold miner here that they might get the hopes of getting this Krull online. The double armor from Archaic here has really allowed him to tank up a lot of those glimmer shots from old school. We talked about Koshka going in too far can get deleted from just the sheer damage Kestrel can put out. And Archaic really making it a point that he needs to survive in that front line and really gives starting all over the opportunity here to run away with this game. Hammers
have rolled the dumpster can out and just put Cloud9 in it this game.
Yeah,
this 7-1. This is just a thrashing of a game.
Yeah, this is looking really good for Hammers here, but again, if Cloud9 is able to get this Krull online, get him some tankiness built up with that Poison Shiv, there's definitely a huge opportunity for C9 here, but Hammers is not really looking to give that opportunity. This wave is pushed all the way up here, and here comes Archaic.
How's this going to play out? Joseph, he moves forward, but Joseph's getting blown up. Only one turret remains for Cloud9. Old School would love if they'd walk onto that trap there. It's not going to happen. Starting over, it's going to wind up the Hellfire Brew. They block off the From Hell's Heart. He's trying to kite back. He gets the healing that he needs to stay alive just a little bit longer. Joseph taking down, burning down. Archaic wants it. Gabe Vizzle's going to be able to take down Starting. They've traded 2 for 1 as they lose Old School. And how about the YCP coming through for the triple kill? The ace in the base of Cloud9. And how about them apples right there? Under 10 minutes. Hammers. They're going to be closing this game out in a dominant fashion.
All of Cloud9 is up. And we've seen Hammers throw a game earlier where they were in a win condition here.
Yeah, this is,
taking
they're
a lot
not
of
going to be able to
damage
close
with
this. I was wrong.
This is not looking good. Giving over 2 kills, but that is a exposed Vein Crystal now. But that's a bit of gold now going into Joseph's pocket. Not quite enough to finish what he needs. And now Hammers is 1 fight away from closing out game number 2. 10 minutes in, no saw. And there are no turrets left available for Cloud9. They are in a very risky position here.
Man. You know, if Saw liked to watch Vainglory, he'd be very impressed with this game. Having a talk with Ringo afterwards. A little pat on the back.
Yeah, the win condition here for Cloud9 is super perfect fight kind of scenario. I mean, Old School has to get good glimmer shots down onto the backline, onto Starting all over, and Joseph needs to get a good stun down, a max length, maybe even a boomerang stun down onto somebody just to really lock somebody up, because they haven't had that opportunity. It's kind of surprising that the Krull-Lyra combination has really been snowballed so heavily this game. Now that Krull has Poison Shiv, though, he should have a bit more sustain in these fights, and here we go.
Arcane Passage, the Bright Bulwark down. They're immediately trying to take Starting. Starting doing a very good job job to reposition with the own Arcane Passage. He's going straight for the Vein Crystal. Keep your eyes on this to dominate. They do get the Divine Intervention onto Archaic. He's still alive. They lose Playboy Afro, but the hammers are on the Vein Crystal. And of course, that little Kissy's gonna come out of starting as he drops the charms here. Having some fun. At the end, they're gonna take Old School down just because, hey, why not? What a game coming out of Hammers. This is why they're so incredibly fun to watch. Like, at any moment, they just feel...
The side of Hammers, I mean, Idris is available if they want to flex that Kestrel down into the jungle.
Yeah, but CB Kestrel is not going to be good into a Grace and a Glaive. No way.
Or they could go into the, like, a Crystal Black Feather. I think it almost forces them into, because
they may
something
do that.
can deal with the Baron and something that can get past both the Grace and the Glaive.
They may do Crystal BF or Samuel. Their comfort is going to be Samuel, so that may show up, but Crystal BF might be their best option here potentially, or they can be risky and try Taka into this, but it's gonna be risky. But yeah, they're gonna go with Samuel here.
All right, so very long-range poke-heavy composition coming out from Hammers, but quite the opposite coming out from Cloud9. They have a lot of burst damage with that Glaive and that Baron coming on through. Are we anticipating that this might be a double weapon power composition coming out from Cloud9 as well? No.
All right, let's go. Let's see who can win this game and claim first place here in Week 2 of Split 2. This is such an important match here. And starting all over, goes back to the Weapon Kestrel. No surprise there. But on the other side, you see Gabe Vizzle gets the Grace. They get the Baron as well. And they're going to pair it up with the Glaive. That seems like a very powerful composition.
It is, and you know, we already talked, well, at least we heard Sui earlier talking about how good Grace is into Kestrel. The long range of that Benediction can really make it difficult, especially in the early game, for starting to avoid that damage. This is going to be all about the siege and the mid-game for Hammers. If this old school Baron is allowed to come online, as well as Joseph being on this Glaive here in the jungle, obviously the Afterburn into Baron is going to be a devastating combination. So it's going to be a fun game for us here, Humanist.
Do we expect to see Joseph just go like the Tension Bow, Poison Shiv, defense, utility kind of build at this point? I mean,
he has options. So he can go with that kind of bursty, sustainy build, or he could go into a just an all-out burst Tension Bow Aftershock proc, which would give him the additional cooldown on that repositioning of the Afterburn, and that's going to make Old School's life a lot easier, because then he has a lot more ability to flex how he uses the Afterburn. He can use it to protect Old School, or he can use it to set up an engagement.
That feels like it would be pretty useful. Not only that, I mean, having more Afterburns, you knocking Archaic out of this Drifting Dark, stuff like that could be pretty helpful to him and his team. Currently, Gabe Bissell just hanging out here, and he's less useful once Playboy Afro is there. Playboy Afro can abuse the range that he has. Also, just if they ever need to trade damage, he just throws out that Sigil, heals up his ally and himself. So right now it's an opportunity. Old School goes back to base with Gabe Vizzle, pick up a few items and make their way out. At this point, it's pretty quiet across the map.
Yeah, obviously the side of Cloud9 is either going to have to look for a good gank with the Glaive Grace combination, or wait for Old School to come online to really pick some fights. And it almost goes the same for Hammers. You know, Samuel really in this early game is going to be a little bit of a struggle. He's going to be susceptible to this Glaive. And Joseph actually does steal away that Elder Treant there.
Yeah, Archaic trolled out a little bit. He committed Drifting Dark and Malice and Verdict, burned it down, and Joseph just takes it at the end. So a nice play by Joseph there.
Definitely a beautiful play, and as the game gets later, Samuel has some potential. He's actually putting down some vision for himself too, which is pretty smart. He has the potential to really be a nuisance for Glaive, but again, those Afterburns, if he's, like you mentioned, able to knock him out of the Drifting Dark, can be an absolutely huge advantage for the side of Cloud9. But look at the damage coming down on this turret already, even.
Serious damage. Old School used jump jets. I thought he was going to just try to find an attack on the starting, or maybe Archaic just to push them back, but he's just trying to grab those last hits as he is under turret, and it becomes a bit more difficult for him in that situation. The whole time, Joseph continues to rotate through the jungle, level 4 at this point. Let's see if someone can claim the last Elder Treant spawn here. Gave his little Benediction back up into lane starting, was putting on a bit of damage on him. It looks like this is probably just going to be forfeit until the jungle will intensify, shop will spawn.
Yeah, definitely too risky for either team to try to take it. The time frame it's alive is still so short that it's difficult to, at least for one player, to clear it out at this point. It does look like Joseph is committing into, very likely, a tension bow. So maybe looking to really just be that bursty glaive that we know and love. Starting all over, getting the speed boost from the Imperial Sigil. Gonna have to be careful though here, Humanist. Here comes Cloud9.
He has the trap down, but he's waiting to spring it. He wanted to squish your target. Joseph just walks through. He's like, nothing to see here, and I'll take the mid away from you. So how does it feel, Hammers, to have wasted your time?
Yeah, Twisted Stroke is absolutely an amazing ability for cleaning up a last hit, especially with the weapon glaive. And that's something that we've seen Joseph really just be good at in general, is those last hits on his farm. And that's really an advantage that Cloud9 has here. It's putting him up about 500 gold here, 6 CS advantage in the jungle, as well as a couple CS here in the lane. Nothing major, no objectives taken, but here we go, Humanist.
Bright Bulwark down from Playboy Afro will cancel off the aggression coming out of Joseph. Joseph did use his boots there, Day. So this is a large cooldown for him. Yeah, he has Afterburn. Yeah, he can reposition someone, but it's really nice to have those boots up.
Yeah, it is nice to have those boots, especially for Glaive. Might get you in a little bit of a better position to get a good Afterburn, making sure you knock Starting All Over or Archaic into Baron. I almost wouldn't be shocked here if in the next couple levels we see Archaic pick up an Infusion and really try to get some lane aggression down. That turret's already down to half health, and the siege potential out of Samuel and Kestrel is absolutely huge. Old School making a good rotation down to the backs, making sure he gets that ambient. Trying to.
They're gonna lose the turret
Baron
though.
Line, but man, here's the damage.
Maybe not. Starting. Really respecting Gabe Vizzle jumping in there. I feel like if they could have committed, but they didn't have the vision down. Afterburn gonna be blocked off. Starting, trying to move back, dropping incredibly low. Playboy Afro will be okay. Archaic as well. Probably Archaic grabs the mid and then moves back up to try and hold the lane here with Playboy Afro, because C9, they're going to move forward and they're going to get their own damage out onto this turret. They're doing pretty well at this point as well. Playboy Afro, he did go for just the Crucible first. What are your thoughts on Playboy Afro's itemization?
The Crucible is nice just because it makes your Imperial Sigil a lot more useful to the team. Obviously, if you let it burn down on all 3 members, it's not quite as effective, but you actually get a large burst on the entire team if you use the Imperial Sigil's proc right away. Starting all over, looking to get some poke damage down here. We'll almost maybe even see a War Treads come out second of Playboy Afro, really looking to get a lot of engage potential. And here's the damage that we were talking about this siege.
Yeah, Starting had that level 5 infusion ticking, and they're able to take this out. Drifting Dark flies forward, and Archaic with the Malice and Verdict, they are able to pick that up. So Hammers strike first, not first blood, but first on the map. First objective blood.
Yeah, overall a pretty tame game as far as the kills go. A little disappointing coming off of those Hammers tempo games where it was just kills, but Hammer's obviously taking the objective route there is going to put a little bit of additional gold in their pocket, but not a very huge lead for them. And now Starting has to be careful as Joseph has rotated up to the lane, and Glaive absolutely great at ganking.
Baron's also at the point, and you can see the splash damage connecting on a Starting. If he jump jets and actually hits Starting with the Sorrow Blade Tension Bow, I mean, the Kestrel's so squishy. He's, for all intents and purposes, if he's able to get on target, he's online there. But overall, obviously he's not. He wants to pick up some more weapon damage before he really can start to trade.
Yeah, he definitely needs the additional weapon damage to just ensure the kills. Here Old School comes now, looking to get some damage down, and here we go.
One shot, Starting's held in place. Iron Cannon's gonna come down. Joseph doesn't find the Afterburn he wants. Playboy After will die mid-Arcane Passage. Divine Intervention I can't talk on a Joseph. Old School jumps forward, trading with Starting there, and Starting's gonna go down. On his deathbed, he'll pick up his Tyrant's Monocle, so that's going to be a nice pickup for him. But in that trade, it was a huge win for C9. Archaic's here in the Drifting Dark. What's the play here? He's hanging around, but he has to respect that Joseph and Gabe could just jump on him and kill him. I'm kind of surprised that they actually didn't. They must have thought they were going to take the turret.
Yeah, it was very, very close. The Glaive just has so much damage, especially with this Tension Bow. The Pierce really kind of getting through some of that defense that the turret naturally has. Overall, not really a big advantage for either team. We have a little positioning advantage with that first turret being down for Hammers. But, Old School working into this third item on Baron is going to start to be a pretty big threat here very, very soon. And Hammers have to be careful about, protecting this turret as best they can. Giving 900 gold over to Cloud9 here could really start to really swing the favor of this game entirely into Cloud9's favor.
Yeah, let's see how they're going to play it out here. Old School still playing quite defensively, waiting for his team to find that engage. There's their Afterburn, Playboy Afro. They're trying to find the stun up on it. He war treads backwards, starting all over, trying to find the glimmer shots, throwing him through. One shot, not going to be connecting. It's a little bold to be throwing that out. And Old School finds the crit damage. Ion Cannon is going to clip starting. Doesn't matter. Joseph is there. Cloud9, they take 2, they lose 1. They come out on top of this again. A bit of deja vu.
A little bit of deja vu, and now as these minions march, this should most certainly be a turret going on over to Cloud9. Afro, unable to pull the minions away, is now in a little bit of a dangerous position himself. He has to get out. Fortunately for him, Joseph does not have energy for an afterburn, and we have a pause here on the fold. It's indeed a pretty good item. The additional damage reduction that it provides your team is absolutely huge, as well as obviously that burst heal, especially when paired with that crystal infusion. It's going to be available to Gabe Vizzle pretty frequently as this game goes on. Reaching level 8, he should have the overdrive on the Benediction here very, very soon. And Old School has actually completed now the Tyrant's monocle as well on this Baron. So this is really where Baron starts to take off. And it looks like Gabe Vizzle getting caught out a little bit here.
Gabe walking back into the one shot there, just making sure Starting has good stats on his one shot, 1 kills. Old School doing quite a bit of damage, respectable damage, as you said. The afterburn's there. Joseph, he knocks Starting back. Can he get him? Yes, he can. Wow. They just burn Starting down. Why am I saying wow? We said it. It's obvious. You get on top of the Kestrel, you kill the Kestrel. That's how easy it is. Divine Intervention comes out onto Joseph. Playboy Afro will die if they can find the afterburn on him, but it's not going to happen. In fact, Goldmine are actually doing significant damage here, and C9 are just like, all right, we had enough of that. We won the fight. Let's reset.
Yeah, and that fight in particular really showed that the burst that Glaive brings to the table can just really set somebody up for a free kill on over to Baron, especially because, the Samuel and Kestrel are not really going to prioritize a heavy amount of defense at any point of this game. They'll very likely commit to probably the Aegis onto Archaic if this game goes late enough. And I think Starting really just has to go that Aegis as well. The additional block with the crowd control that's available here on the side of Cloud9. I think if you're going to go a 4-item offensive build, you have to have that block.
Oh, man. I really don't know what he's going to do here, but defense, I don't know if defense is the answer.
I think
I'm kind of going to go against you on that one. Just say go full offense starting.
5 channel my starting.
I feel like he's going to have to be able to blow up a target. Like if they get on him, he just feels like he's going to die.
Yeah, and we're here at 13 minutes, no fountain yet. We have double Dragon Blood here on Playboy Afro, though, really prioritizing the healing that's available from the Imperial Sigils, and it's really dangerous because you don't always get that opportunity to heal your entire team with the Sigil. So a fountain has to come from Hammers here soon if they really want to start winning some of these fights.
Another thing that, whenever I'm playing into a Lyra, I think about is that when they throw the Sigil, it's oftentimes very natural for the team to clump up on that Sigil to try and to take advantage of it. Like you said, it's hard to get it on your whole team, but oftentimes they try to. Well, Starting stunned up, big damage. Starting gets the active camo, tries to move back. Slumbering Husk looked like it's triggered off for Playboy after 1 shot. No, that's not coming through. Ion Cannon almost taking Starting out. They gotta run. They're on the run. Archaic. One more attack, he'd go down. Playboy Afro surely will. Starting all over will be able to pour it out. And C9, totally winning that fight.
Yeah, again, this composition is so devastating to squishy targets, and that's what in the entire side of Hammers is. Gabe Vizzle actually not even having to use that second Divine Intervention mid-fight. He uses it after the fight's over just to top his teammates up. So Divine Intervention will be coming up now in 20 seconds, and Echo is down for about 40. But the fountain is still available for Gabe Vizzle just because of that healing that comes out and the damage reduction. This is as this game goes, Cloud9 has just the easiest win conditions here, Humanist.
So are we just assuming Playboy Afro will not build a fountain in this game?
I mean, he has the husk now. It's so Imperial Sigil based that it's scary, because again, with a double kiting composition from this Kestrel and Samuel, it's just hard to get Imperial Sigil down on the entire team. This is a pretty risky call, and here comes
Ion
the Ion
Cannon, jump jets forward. Archaic gets melted. Old School single-handedly almost taking Archaic down. Joseph jumps in. They just delete Starling all over. They rip right through him. A couple attacks, a couple of crits coming out of Old School. They've taken to Cloud9. Just once they get on a target, they just destroy them. There's a scout trap hanging out here from Hammers. Playboy Afro may try to make some Net Toilette Godly-esque kind of play, but I think he moves in, eats a bit of damage, and just is gonna move just as quickly right on out of there. It could very well be Cloud9 just closing the game out here.
If they can find another clean fight like they have, I found Archaic and starting all over particularly very easy in that last fight. Again, just the amount of squish that's on the team. We actually see Starting is only at 3 items and is now committing into that block. So this is kind of a rough situation. We are now 16 minutes in the game with no fountain completed for Hammers.
Starting has fun positioning here on the top side of the map. Echo's on cooldown, 22 seconds. Thanks for letting us know, Gabe. I actually like that ping out there. I know Starting reveals himself, and then active camos backwards. This is a benediction, and they see where Starting is. Now, Drifting Dark's down. He's going to start to kite backwards. Actually pulling them a little bit further back than he'd probably want to be. Look at Joseph coming from the south side. Can he find the afterburn in? It's going to be blocked off. Starting just barely avoiding the engage here, time and time again. They're gonna lose choke point turret, and Kraken's gonna be pretty low. So Cloud9, based on their playstyle for the last few games, I would say that, yeah, they just back on out of here. It's Crystal Sentry time.
It is Crystal Sentry time, looking to take it down to only 1 life remaining, as well as getting, around 225 gold into their pockets as well. Old School now has his 4th item complete and a weapon infusion, level 12 weapon infusion on Baron. This is a very good position for Cloud9 to be in. All they really have to do is find 1 fight. If they can kill Starting all over and Archaic, they can very likely just end the game here.
I think they definitely can, indeed. There's still a chance that Starting all over, if he wrapped around the backside and catches Old School by surprise, it could take him down, but it would take a huge element of surprise, of which they have not been able to achieve. Cloud9 moving forward as a unit. Flares coming out. They see Hammers. Gabe is waiting to engage. Old School's not, though. He just jumps right forward, puts the damage out here. Glimmer shots coming out of Starting. The Ion Cannon clips him. Joseph with the afterburn, forcing them back, splitting the team apart. Archaic moves out towards the east, where it's Starting, getting deleted out towards the west. Playboy Afro will use that arcane passage just to buy some time, and that's really all it's going to be, just buying just a touch of time. Boosts himself with a sigil. Crystal Sentry will put him down. Ace. Joseph gets the kill. An ace for Cloud9, and almost too easy.
Yeah, this Baron in the hands of Old School has been absolutely amazing. Look at the damage taking down these turrets. Going to take them down simultaneously. And unless a miracle happens here, this should be Cloud9, the winners in the 1st place position here for the split. And that indeed, as Starting drops, that is 100% Cloud9 taking game number 3. The consistency of this team is just absolutely amazing.
Denominate, one of the things that is so awesome at the highest level of competition, that we have Hammers beat Cloud9 like super fast. Like, they just dumpstered them the last game. And then this game, Cloud9 just come back and completely roll over Hammer. So a really good game. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I think that's